So I am Niamh Barton-Maynard. I'm the Senior Communications Manager at Waverley Care. I lead our communications policy engagement team. I started at Waverley Care just over 2.5 years ago, and when I started there was me and a part-time communications officer. We've now grown the team to there's 8 of us in the team covering the different remits for communications policy and engagement. So it's been quite a journey of discovering what we needed, expanding and kind of growing. A big catalyst for that has been the work that we've done around our rebrand and digital transformation projects, and I hope that our case studies today will give you some inspiration for your own projects and demonstrate the impact that investing in marketing communication can have on an organisation, not just within the kind of marketing communications function. I want to set the scene just a little bit about us as a charity and about our cause and what we do. We are Scotland's HIV charity. Our mission is to bring an end to HIV inequality and stigma, and our vision is a Scotland where anyone living with or at risk of HIV can expect to be treated with acceptance, support and respect. Everything we do, from our services to the policy work we do to our campaigns, is influenced by the people that we work with and through their lived experience. So for today, what I want to chat you through is kind of, rather than take you through a kind of step-by-step how we did our rebrand and how we did our website, is actually kind of wanted to focus on some of the key pillars and key learnings that we took from it in order for kind of the project to be successful. And I'm hoping then that there's going to be some takeaways that you can take back into your organizations. So in our situational analysis, kind of key things that we found that led us to kind of give the green light to the projects were things around kind of low internal opinion of communications among staff was a massive one. So Waverley Care had actually had a rebrand and a new website done in 2019. And when I arrived, I got, in my first week, you go around, you meet all of the staff, and all I got was all of this negativity about how the projects had been terrible and they didn't believe in the rebrand and it was a waste of money and why do we have communication staff? All our money should go on frontline services. We don't need it. And it definitely was a bit of a shock to the system in that first week. They were much better in the second week. I think it was cathartic for them to get all of that out of their systems. But because those projects had gone so badly, I think it was definitely, there was an uphill battle with staff. And in identifying why they had gone badly, it really was a lack of engagement with staff and service users. Were cited as kind of critical issues. It's kind of a small group of people went into a back room and came out with what they called a rebrand, what I'd call a logo refresh from where Waverley Care was before, and a new website popped up. And it was imposed on people rather than developed with staff. We also had a bit of an issue with brand architecture, and I'd imagine this is actually a bit of an issue for a lot of charities. There were sub-brands that were created as new projects were developed. So for example, we had our Essex project, was work that we did with gay and bisexual men, and we had Wave, which is a project that works with young people in the Highlands. When SX was developed, it was kind of taken over as a project from another charity that was closing down. I think at the time it was felt that the Waverley Care brand wasn't cool enough for that audience. And so what was developed for SX was much more, the language was very sex positive, the imagery was much younger, cooler, whereas Waverley Care was a bit more hand-holdy at that point. And there was also kind of issues where they felt, oh, the messaging we want for that group is so different from the other groups that Waverley Care work with, like ethnic minority communities, and how could we possibly bring them together? So we need to do something separate. And it was the same with the development of Wave, which was another project that Waverley Care took over from another organisation. It was like, we needed to be hip and cool, and if we're doing stuff for young people, it needs to look very different. The problem with this brand architecture, though, is that when you looked at things like printed materials, there was equal weight given to these sub-brands. It was like they were 3 different organisations. And when the sub-brand logos kind of stood on their own, there's no attribution back to Waverley Care. So there was really positive feedback from SX service users, but they didn't know it was anything to do with Waverley Care. And obviously, for people who, charity needs to raise money, we need people to be aware of Waverley Care for our fundraising. If one of our projects is doing radically better than the parent brand, and there's no attribution back, that is quite an issue. We also kind of had issues around staff being siloed into those teams and them kind of almost operating quite autonomously. So we had this issue with kind of low internal opinion amongst staff. We had the issues of the brand architecture. We had lots of fragmented communications channels. There's 3 different websites on 3 different platforms for the 3 brands, 10 social media channels to manage. The brand assets were really impractical. There was this massive tagline because it had been this huge compromise where it shoved in absolutely everything that Waverley Care did. So it had HIV, Hep C, and sexual health. And you couldn't shove it on a pen because it wouldn't shrink down. It didn't lend itself to digital. It was driving me absolutely insane. It was just really, really impractical. And there was no sense of identity within Waverley Care. When you tried to drill down into who are we now and what do we stand for, and it just really wasn't there. And there was lots of then projects that had been taken on that kind of, you were kind of go, why are we doing this? And it was kind of just a sense of not really having that sense of identity, and this is what we do, and this is what we're good at, and these are our ambitions. When it came to the website, when I was researching for my interview, I couldn't find any information out. It was developed internally, mirroring internal departments, rather than thinking about the service user coming along and kind of trying to find the information that they needed. And the sub-brand websites, for example, the SX website had loads of really good information and advice on sexual health and HIV, whereas actually you couldn't even find the word sex on the Waverley Care website. There just wasn't there. It was kind of information about services written in a way for internal staff. So there was a lot of issues that really highlighted it wasn't about fixing what we had. It was actually about going back to the drawing board and developing something new. So we kind of developed project ambitions based on this situational analysis we did, which, as I said, kind of included speaking with staff and service users and kind of partners. So it kind of, all of this has come from them rather than me going, this is what I think the ambitions should be. But what we wanted was a brand that would be nationally recognised, was aspirational, brave, and sector leading. We wanted our staff to feel unified by the brand, instilling a sense of pride. And we wanted to give our service users a voice by the platform that we would develop by gaining better brand recognition. For the website, what we wanted was to be able to have a platform that would allow us to offer a national service digitally to complement the projects that we run on the ground, but to really make it that Waverley Care is truly a national charity that can support anyone regardless of where they live. That we wanted then to be able to kind of upscale our service provision. So digital became not just a website as the front door to your services, but a service in itself. And we wanted our communications to have a greater impact by widening our reach and focusing on being kind of relevant and targeted messaging. Naturally, these ambitions identified resource gaps within the team. The 1.6 wasn't going to cover it. So at that point, kind of at the start of the project, we introduced a digital communications officer role, and later we introduced a communications officer who became instrumental in the development of the website project. We worked with our fundraising team really closely to apply for trusts and grants, and we were extremely fortunate to be successful in actually securing funding that allowed the setup of these projects and much of the delivery, although obviously we did need to kind of contribute some of our own funds from fundraising as well. The grants and trust income that we brought in really allowed these projects to happen. So that was kind of our stage of kind of, making the case that this is going to happen, being able to understand why it was going to happen and what we wanted to achieve kind of moving forward. We then kind of needed to take that and get that buy-in. We had consulted with staff, but they were still very skeptical. Why are you doing this? Why are you spending money on this? You've just done it. And so kind of critical to success of these projects was having the blessing and buy-in from key groups. So we had our staff were one, our service users were another, and then the board obviously needed to kind of be on board with it. So in terms of our approach with staff, it really was go slow. I remember developing a bit of a project timeline in my first month, and I thought I'd have the whole thing done in 6 months. I was very naive about that. It took nearly 2 years. But going slow with them meant that we now have, we were able to gain that buy-in. We were able to bring in their opinions to shape the projects that we were running. And we were able to kind of demonstrate to them, this looks like this at the end because of all of this involvement that you've had along the way. And we kind of took the step to kind of over-communicate in a way, even if sometimes there wasn't very little, very little to report back. Sometimes there was months that would go where we didn't really have much to share. But, we took opportunities like all staff emails, all staff meetings, to kind of just make people aware that we were still kind of trucking along with it. We also kind of developed allies and teams who kind of were involved in the project who would champion it within their teams, and there was key people that we knew were kind of quite good with digital, understand what we were trying to do, and kind of use them to champion it. And kind of we continued to listen to concerns, but it was important to not over compromise, which I think is what perhaps has happened in the past, and it happens a lot. There was a lot of lots of smiling, being really excited and hoping that excitement and enthusiasm would catch on, which it did. I didn't always look like this, but I kind of sometimes felt like I was a little bit like that, because it was a really, really exciting project to be working on. Our approach with service users, if we work with kind of very different groups. So we work with people who inject jugs in Glasgow who were involved in the HIV outbreak there. We work with people from ethnic minority communities. We work with gay and bisexual men, are kind of our core groups of people, and how you approach them to kind of get their feedback is kind of very different. So kind of we kind of had to adapt how we were gathering. You know, you couldn't do everything over Zoom. You couldn't do everything over survey. Some of it was face-to-face, really informal, couldn't overload people with marketing jargon or talk about attribution or brand hierarchy or any of that kind of stuff. Had to really simplify down what we were trying to do. And we also compensated people for their time, which actually, if we hadn't, especially with some of the groups here in Glasgow, I don't think we would have had the engagement that we had. And it's led to kind of our decision kind of with future things like that to actually compensate people for their time to kind of get that buy-in. We really tried to explain the benefits to them, but also kind of not just about them. We've got some really loyal service users who've been with us for a really, really long time, and we kind of needed to let them know that like we're doing this for them, but also all of those other people who we can kind of bring in by raising our profile. But we also demonstrated that we took their concerns seriously. So an example of this is one of the recommendations that came out of the Discovery report, that our name, Waverley Care, doesn't mean anything to most people outside of Edinburgh. And I think we knew that. What does it mean? Is it the steamboat through in Glasgow? What is it? Everyone drops the E in Waverley. They spell it wrong. And so we knew this, and kind of some of the options for names that came back, though, included HIV in the title, which we were like, that would be really good for fundraising. People would understand what we are. When you Google us, people would find us. We were kind of quite thinking very, very seriously of doing this. And then we knew that we needed to take it out and consult with people. So we went out to staff, we went out to partners. Staff had reservations, but 50-50. Donors, supporters were like, yeah, no, that sounds great. And we went to service users, and they were like, not yet. There's still so much stigma around HIV. I can't be seen talking to one of your frontline staff if you've got HIV in the title. And we pulled it. We were like, we'll stick with Waverley Care. We'll invest in making sure people know what Waverley Care is rather than change it. And we were able to demonstrate to them that actually their opinion matters. And actually, I'm so glad that we took it out to them and we didn't have HIV in the title. But what was really inspiring was actually so many of them said then that we want to work with you to help challenge stigma, because we don't want it to be the situation in 10 years' time that it's still that you can't have HIV in the title. So it was a good collaborative experience working with them. With the board, similar to staff, was really about kind of inspiring them with the vision and making them excited to be on this journey with us. Again, exceptionally lucky to have a board that were really, really supportive. We kind of went to them after we had done that situational analysis and discovery report, rather than going to them at the beginning and being like, we're going to do this rebrand. And kind of what we wanted to go to them was the evidence of why we wanted to do this. Definitely the information needed to be clear and concise. If one piece of recommendation I can give is, if you're doing papers to your board about your project, make it short, make it really, really clear what's information only and what you want them to make a decision on. Otherwise the conversations go round and round. And actually having someone attending board meetings who is responsible for communications and marketing having a seat there is really, really important. So I went along to the board meetings where we were discussing the rebrand. I presented the projects. I put forward the proposals to them. They got to know me. They got to understand the project. And now, kind of following past those projects, I continue to go to board meetings and ensure that they know what we're doing. And I think that has led to a greater understanding and kind of buy-in from them, which is really, really good. We, for kind of practical reasons, created a subgroup in the board for the rebrand, rather than having 10 of them constantly voting on absolutely everything. They decided to create a subgroup, which was really good, and we were able to kind of involve that group in everything from discussions around naming, looking at creative, and kind of looking at ideas for the website. But they had as much say as any of the other groups, really. It wasn't a final, the board have decided this is what your logo is going to look like, which was really nice, actually, that they didn't put themselves in that position. So that was kind of our approach to our key groups that we needed to get on board, and we did get the buy-in, we did get people excited about it, and we were able to kind of move forward with project delivery, and it wasn't kind of climbing up a hill because you were constantly trying to justify why we were doing this. So key kind of takeaways from project delivery in terms of how we approached it. So as I said, it did take just under 2 years to deliver. This was kind of due to the need to develop capacity in the team, was actually part of it, was looking out for funding opportunities. We knew we needed to bring in that extra communications officer who was going to help us write the website and pull together all of our content. So we had to apply for funding, get funding, advertise it, not fill it, advertise it again with a slightly different title, not fill it. I'm sure you're all familiar with recruitment in the charity sector. And we eventually got Evelina, who is now our marketing communications manager, and she did an amazing job with the website. But that's why it kind of took time, is it's not like with a commercial organisation where you go, this is our budget, this is our project, this is our timeline, we're cracking on. It is a case of, this is what we want to do, but then how do we pay for it, and how do we resource it, and how do we expand the team to be able to deliver it? And we also knew really from that outset, from those initial conversations I'd had with staff about how they felt and how things had gone before, was we really needed to go slow with them. There was no point trying to, rush it and then not have the buy-in that we got. We worked with the agency Fat Beehive on both projects. We used them in our initial research piece, and they knew us quite well, and we figured they would be quite well placed to deliver these projects. They work with charities solely. They'd worked with other charities that were quite niche in their cause as well, so they were quite good at understanding us. And then we kind of had internal working groups that were giving staff the opportunity to be involved with the projects as they developed, which is a really good learning and development piece as well for staff, especially who, if they're doing frontline work face-to-face in person, wouldn't necessarily get to be involved in a big digital transformation project. So it was really nice to be able to involve people from different roles, but also for us to then remain connected in with what they do, which informed some of the choices that we made. And we use things like the online meetings that we do monthly, tools like Mentimeter, which was a learning curve for some of our staff as to how to vote and do things. So we tried out probably every interactive tool we could find. And then we have 2 staff away days a year. And when it came to looking at the creative choices for the branding, for example, we had a really, I don't think actually it would have worked online. It needed to be in person, where we, looked at all the options, discussed it, did exercises, they got to feed in, and actually their feedback shaped where we ended up with in the end, which was really positive. So we have launched. So we launched our website and rebrand in May, which feels like a really long time ago, but actually isn't that long. The rebrand work was done way in advance of the website work, so actually it feels like that was signed off a long time beforehand, but there was no point in launching a rebrand without the website ready at the same time. So I wanted to share some key takeaways from us, I guess, kind of post-launch and where we are now, because we are still very early days. Really, it was the importance of listening, and I can't stress that enough, about kind of with the internal staff and service users, and listening to what people wanted, what their worries and concerns were, and sometimes they just needed to articulate those and get them off their chest and then feel that they'd been heard. The need to be flexible and adaptable. As I said, if we'd approached this project and we have this timeline, and constantly, if we'd felt like we were failing, it would have been very demoralizing, whereas we knew that we needed to be flexible with our approach and kind of match what we could do to the budget as well. So our website project is phased now. So phase 1 is what's launched. Phase 2 is coming, and I'll chat a little bit more about that later. But yeah, we had to be kind of adaptable to what we could do. Otherwise, if we waited until everything was perfect, we would never have launched a website and a rebrand. Everything costs more than you think it will. I'm not even adding up what the whole thing came to, because I don't want to know. I'm just really pleased with where we've got to. But certainly, if you're budgeting for a project like this, do put in contingency for when there are time delays. Or when you need to kind of bring in outside expertise if you've not been able to kind of fill roles and things like that. And also that the rollout never ends. It's not like, oh, rebrand's launched, it's now constantly like, because everyone's so excited about it, we need a leaflet for this, we need that, we need this, and we're constantly now making new things, we haven't even got to the point yet of, you'd imagine that we had sent all of our materials out to every sexual health clinic in Scotland. We haven't got there yet because there is still so much design and development and ideas that people are coming forward with. So it feels like the official rollout of the rebrand, we're still in the midst of it. In terms of the transforming bit, because you're kind of here for a talk on kind of how marketing can be transformative, what we took from this that we probably didn't realize at the outset we were going to get was that it has done so much more for the organization than just kind of make it look pretty or give us a website that was functioning. It's had kind of an impact on various different kind of elements of the charity. It is so different to when I started there 2 years ago. It is like working at a different organization, which is really, really exciting and really positive. I think one of the biggest impacts has been around culture, this culture piece around kind of our staff now feel, it's palpable, that feeling of a greater sense of optimism and confidence amongst staff. At the latest staff day, people were, there was an exercise where people had to write down various different things. And this is one of the quotes about us now, is that we are an organization that has energy, commitment, talent, skill, humanity, compassion, humor, charity, patience, funding, professionalism, hope, vision, bravery, faith, courage, creativity, innovation, tenacity, and is challenging. You wouldn't have got the same sentence 2 years ago. And I think it really highlights where staff are at now. They're really excited about where we are. Our internal positioning has changed. We're gone from being kind of like, oh, we do support and that's what we do, that's our lane, why are we doing bits of policy, we shouldn't be doing that, to now actually we can shape policy, we can change the system, we can make things better for the people we work with, but also the people who could be coming down the line or who are at risk of HIV. And I think that has really helped also kind of break down silos that you kind of see in a lot of organizations. You might have your communications and marketing people and then the people who do the service delivery bit. And really now we kind of work much more closely together, and I think they've got a greater appreciation for us and what we do. And they also have an understanding that change doesn't have to be negative. These big transformational projects can be successful. And so when we have new ideas of things we want to do now, people are like, yeah, let's do that. And so, as I say, there's also that kind of new respect for our department. They did respect our department. Everyone's lovely at Waverley Care. But I think there is that thing sometimes where people who do service delivery, that's really important. They are changing lives. Every day they're doing stuff that's really, really important. And you can understand why they might think, oh, you're just sitting at your computer writing a few social media posts isn't as important. But I think they've got a greater sense of what we do now and why we do it. It's really changed kind of even strategy and kind of organizational development. So in 2021, we worked on a 5-year strategy. We launched it in 2022. Because the rebrand was coming, we launched it internally, but we didn't launch it externally because we were like, oh, we don't want to design it and then it's going to change. But we used it obviously in our funding applications and we talked about it internally. I'm really glad that we didn't launch it externally because we've already started rewriting it. So there is a case of, is that actually a brand new strategic plan, or what we're calling now the revised strategic plan? Because actually how we talk about, the mission and the vision that I've included in this, our team haven't even seen it yet. So that's changed from where we were before, which we had language around kind of no one facing HIV alone, which now we want to be much more positive about the impact of kind of living with HIV, but also where we want to get to with it. And so that sense of creating a more equal, fairer society for people living with HIV. So it's had kind of quite an impact on what we have included in the strategic plan, but also some of what we've taken out because we understand ourselves better. So the last version kind of had equal weighting to HIV and hepatitis C. We only have one project around hepatitis C in Glasgow. Hepatitis C, they're hoping by 2025, we're going to get to the point where there is zero HIV, or not zero HIV, zero hepatitis C transmission. So we're brave enough now to say to people, we still do that work, but our focus of our strategy and what we're here for is around HIV. And I think it was the rebranding process that gave us that confidence to change that. I think kind of we're also more ambitious in our ideas, and we've been successful in gaining quite a few large pots of funding recently for new roles in areas of work that we weren't working in before. So as I said, this kind of phase 2 around the website is about digital health and providing that digital service delivery. Doing more work around community engagement now, getting out there, and peer support and volunteering rather than we do peer support because we've always done it. We're like, let's create a national peer support scheme. You know, we're thinking bigger with everything that we do, and I think a big part of that is how we see ourselves now. But we also have the clarity to know when to say no, because as I said, when I first started, there was a few projects I was like, why do we do this? And it was because funding came along and someone went, let's apply for this. And now we have conversations with the senior management team where funding comes up and we go, does that fit us? And we go, no, we don't have to feel beholden to apply for something because a funder has suggested that we should apply for it, because we know what we are here for and what our ambitions are. With fundraising, and we've done some work with, I think I saw Mark come in, Mark O'Donnell, we did some fundraising work on our strategy a few years ago, and kind of this idea that you need to invest in fundraising if you want to increase your income. And I think that was a bit of a light bulb moment for our senior management team and our board. And our rebrand on the website is now giving them the tools, and our Get to Zero campaign that we launched in the summer is giving them compelling messages they can use for fundraising. So that's why I'm saying we've wanted to move away from this idea of fundraising messages of kind of no one should face HIV alone and implying it's this kind of big scary thing, with actually you could be part of the generation that gets to zero HIV transmissions. Join us on this journey. It would be amazing for us to make history. And I feel like that is something that we tested it out in the Fringe when we're the partner for the Pleasance, so we were out and about speaking to loads of people, testing out that messaging, and their eyes light up. Everyone's like, we could be part of doing something. When you've got all the doom and gloom of living in Britain as it is now, when it's just a very depressing place, we are able to give people this beacon of light that people can actually make a difference, which is really, really amazing. So the fundraising team have also grown massively over the last 6 months or so, and yeah, we're giving them the tools to be able to do what they need to do to bring us in more income so we can do more of the stuff that we want to do, which is quite exciting. In terms of next steps for us, so we've been doing more work looking specifically at our digital strategy, and we've been working with an agency called Think, who have also worked with us on our fundraising strategy more recently, looking at what do we do with social media and how do we get the most out of it, and the same with our e-communications newsletters, for example. There's so much in there to do, so much work, but it's really, really exciting. And I think having someone come in from the outside with that expertise around digital was really, really important, because even though a lot of what's in this 127-page report is stuff that we knew, it's actually got solutions in there for us as well, which is really good. The website phase 2, so that is the creation of kind of even more content, videos, useful information for people who are living with HIV, people who have been recently diagnosed, or people who want to know more about it. We also want to kind of offer digital service delivery where people are at, so people being able to contact us on WhatsApp and having systems in the back of that to be able to kind of manage that, offer video appointments, people to be able to do self-booking. So really investing in that and using the platform that we've created with our website to be able to deliver that, which we wouldn't have been able to do on the previous website. Looking to get greater exposure of our Get to Zero campaign, and kind of looking for funding to be able to kind of take that to the next level, and kind of further expansion of the communications team, which the communications team didn't know about. But yeah, watch this space if you're interested in joining our organisation and joining us on our journey for where we go now. We've realised, especially with that digital strategy that we've just had back, that we still need more people, because actually the communications team strand of our department is very small. So yeah, so if you are interested in joining us, keep your eyes out. Thank you so much.